Our conversation on the program today is on the federal government's suspension of the implementation of the proposed 15% petroleum import duty, following assurances from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority that the country has adequate supply of petroleum products. What does this suspension mean for government revenue, market confidence, and the broader tax plans being considered as Nigeria seeks to balance fiscal needs with public welfare? Joining us is an economist and public affairs analyst, Dr. Aliyu Ilias. Thank you, Mr. Ilias, for coming on the program. Let's begin by getting your reaction. Did you expect it? Were you surprised? Did you think it would come? What's your initial reaction to the suspension?
Right. Thank you so much. It's a good one that government have seen reasons to actually rescind its earlier decision on the 15% tax, and it's going to be a benefit to Nigeria, because if you look at it critically, though it might look as if government is going to benefit more in terms of much more revenue, but if you look at the larger implication of it and you look at the Pareto analysis of it, which says that if people that are benefit from a policy are more than people that are not going to benefit, then you need to consider people that are going to benefit. I think, considering the welfare of Nigerians, this is a good decision, and kudos to the federal government for this.
Well, you're an economist. Is this suspension a temporary relief for the market and consumers, or do you see it as simply a temporary fix?
Right. I'll answer in this manner simply because we will agree on the tax if Nigeria is self-sufficient and we do not have to import PMS and related products to Nigeria. Because if you are still importing and you are not self-sufficient and you are actually bringing that will have to reflect on the cost of commodities in Nigeria. And increasing cost of commodities simply means reduction in the purchasing power of people, reduction on the disposable income of people. So I think it's a good one that government is looking at it from that perspective until we are self-sufficient. Perhaps we are expecting some other refinery also in Nigeria. So we are expecting by the time we have those refinery and the Dangote is also performing beyond now as expected. And also our modular refinery are also doing well. But as at that time, we now say, yes, we are self-sufficient. There's no reason for importation of it. I think at that point, we said, yes, it's a good policy and they can actually bring that to the economy.
You know, you talked about if a policy, people benefiting from the policy are more than those that are not, then the government should think about it. Talking about the 15% duty, if it had taken effect, what are the ripple effects across fuel prices, transportation, and the inflation?
Right. The ripple effect is that we have much more challenges in terms of inflation. You recall that once there's an increase in the cost of a petroleum product, you know, it's going to affect every other thing. It will have some ripple effects. You know, it will affect the transportation, and once it affects transportation, it will trickle down to food. Once it affects food, it also affects generally the purchasing power of people. So I think it's a good one. The government is sacrificing that for now. Perhaps, you know, we are expecting tax to reform to commence in January. I think we should also wait to look at that critically. Let that commence. By the time that commences, the government will now see how to actually balance. In as much as we are expecting that with cautious optimism, expect that it will help the economy, it will make more money to be in the people's hand, we must also look at the operationalization of it. So we expect government to look at all those taxes, you know, and maybe lower it for now and let us see the reform proper before they can consider all those things. More so, the most important thing here is that let us be self-sufficient in terms of PMS, you know, availability before you can bring about such a taxation.
You know, Nigerians, we are used to panic buying, and normally at the end of the year like this, we have celebrations, festivities, we buy a lot and keep. The NDPRA assured Nigerians that the supply is adequate and there should be no need to panic buy fuel. How does this assurance tie into the policy suspension? Right.
I think this is like a test for the regulatory body, simply because, you know, since we have Dangote working fully now, this is the first time we are going to, you know, be in the unitized time and expect or look at how it's going to be. So I think it's good that they are actually negating the news that is going to bring about panicking. For me, as individuals in Nigeria, I don't think they will panic, because I am sure we have enough, and I'm sure with their own principle, they would have stored what we will use if I thought there's any force majeure. But without seeing any force majeure, I have the confidence that there will be enough. There shouldn't be panic buying.
Well, as a country, we're looking for more revenues, but the president has often talked about allowing Nigerians to breathe. What policy alternatives can help close the revenue gap without worsening the economic burden on the citizens?
Right, and this is one of it, by government changing their decision on the 15% tax. I think since we're expecting to see more money through taxation, not really, we are actually trying to stifle Nigerians, but we should also look at cutting costs as well, because you don't look at what you make sometimes, you're also looking at reducing how you actually expend your money. So maybe perhaps government will look at the three, perhaps even two, look at the executive and look at the legislature, and they should sit down to look at the loopholes. If we can block more loopholes, I think we'll have more money for Nigerians to actually expend it. It's not a good one for Nigerians to experience more taxation, coupled with the challenges that we have seen in terms of cost of goods and services. Then we must not also erode the advantage that we are getting from the macroeconomic indicator. Government must make sure that this benefit also get to the day-to-day Nigerians, average Nigerians, to say yes, the economic indicators is good. Also, purchasing power is also a good one for Nigeria. So we must balance it. We must not be seeing it. We must not be hearing it. We must also feel it as a Nigerian.
Moving to other tax matters, Dr. Ilias, from the 1st of December, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority would begin charging an additional 11.50 security levy on international air travel in order to fund a passenger information system, and that is already drawing concerns for potentially raising ticket costs. What's your initial take on the news that 11.50 security levy will be charged on international air tickets?
Right. We actually have a 20%, I mean $20, so to say, already before considering this 11.5%. You recall that this is majorly for outbound and inbound travelers. That simply means it's not within Nigeria, it's for people traveling out of Nigeria and people coming into Nigeria. The fear is that, like I said earlier, I think government should tarry and hold on a bit till next year before they can actually implement such a taxation, because people look at it from different perspectives. December is also coming. People are coming for dirty December. You are bringing such. December is coming. People are coming. People want to do a lot of expenditure. Then it also gives us it's not a good optics for us again, because in Africa our tickets seem to be the third highest ticket that is very, very expensive. So this may bring some level of discourage people that want to travel in or out of Nigeria. So I think we should be sensitive to an extent to delay it to some level. Perhaps if we can actually maximize and look at other sources, so that Nigeria will not look as if it's a country that is not attracting people to come in or encouraging people to travel out for their businesses.
You mentioned dirty December. I'm just thinking, how might this levy impact on airfares, passenger traffic, and tourism in the long run?
Right.
Because December is really the time that everybody comes in.
We cannot actually put a particular amount on it for now, but definitely, as a traveler, as a rational person or rational Nigerian, if you want to travel, you have to put it. How much will it cost you to travel, and how much will it cost you to actually come back? So then when you do the calculation, even though you want to come to Nigeria to do business, you might say because of the high cost of the tickets or airfare, you may have to decide. So, and that may have negative impact on the economy.
Talking about that still, what alternatives could government look into to fund aviation security without burdening travelers?
Right. I agree that we need a robust aviation to attract investment. We need a security and confidence in that sector. But, looking at it through taxation is what we have to actually review. Government can do other things to actually encourage people, because you recall that we have maybe airpeace traveling outside Nigeria. If we continue to increase such, it may also affect some carrier that actually travel out of Nigeria. So we must make sure that we even encourage more Nigerian, airline to actually travel across the globe, which is going to be an economic one. So government must look at other way of actually raising the money. Saying that don't increase it, but to an extent, you have to look at the situation of the economy and look at the optics that it might bring for the economy.
Dr. Ilias, before you head on out, let's talk about the future. Talking about long-term reforms, what are needed in the downstream sector and in the tax administration to create stability while boosting government revenues?
Right. Every economy must look at the short term, medium term, and long term, which is a good one. From what the administration is putting up, they have bring up a lot of policy framework that are a good one. However, you have to look at how to manage it in the medium term and the long term so that it will not be eroded, when it is not actually giving us what we expect. I think we should be conscious of the economy, especially the gain we have actually gained now in this economy. We must make sure we sustain it to actually benefit more Nigerians.
Thank you, Dr. Ilias, for explaining to Nigerians further on this import suspension. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
The Minister of State for